welcome each and every individual to Psychology of People, Lesson 6, Building Quantum Systems, systems which make you very, very different. Hopefully, you've really internalized all the previous lessons, because if you haven't, it's going to be more than drinking out of a fire hose today. So we've been through all these other awesome lessons. This is almost like the grand finale here on what do we need to do. So when we look at building quantum systems, Albert Einstein said you can never solve a problem on the level on which it was created. Oh, what does that mean? Well, it could mean that we create our own problems, and we do this by how we think. If we create our own problems and we do this based on how we think, would it be then true that the only way to solve those problems is to learn to think differently? So, not get somebody else to think differently, but us to think differently. And so are you familiar with physics? Or are you familiar with, quantum physics? If you're not, let me give you just a 30-second. It's complicated. Okay? It's really smart people, and with physics, really smart people said, we got this stuff figured out. And then quantum physics, what? What? Have you ever thought about applying quantum physics to business, relationships, career, family, everything? No? That's surprising. If not, well, it's going to be very hard to build quantum systems. If you're not a quantum thinker, we're not going to be able to build quantum systems. Just won't. Tom Kuhn says, you can never give something to someone else you don't first have yourself. You can't, we learned in the past the warm belly rub principle. We learned so many different natural laws. And so if we don't know how to think different in a sea level, we're not going to be able to build that into a system to transfer that throughout our entire team. Now, you might, as a sea level, think, I am really, really smart. Well, so did all the scientists who knew physics. They thought they were really, really smart as well. Let's see, interesting. Are you aware of quantum computers and what that will mean to you? Let me give you, just a short lesson. They think that quantum computing is going to fully hit in about 10 years. My understanding is that there are some countries who will remain nameless that are hacking into a whole bunch of stuff that cannot go ahead and be cracked. It's protected. But they know that as soon as quantum computing hits, they can unencrypt anything fast, which means everything we now have in the world can be cracked. Everything. There's nothing that can protect against quantum computers except quantum encryption. And so this is where business sense from everyday moms, you want to get into this, and we won't even, maybe in the Q&A we'll talk about Grandpa's magic couch and the EC2, getting involved in this. Are you aware that there is scientific proof that every man has brain damage? Now you might say, how does this, I don't understand, Mark. Like my 2.5-year-old granddaughter, Lily, I don't know, Grandpa. She says it in the coolest way, I don't know, Grandpa. I don't know where that is, Grandpa. It's what does this have to do with quantum thinking? It has everything to do with quantum thinking. See, there's a left side of the brain, right side of the brain. The right side of the brain, most people think often men are left side of the brain, women are going to be right side of the brain. But no, actually not so much. See, the right side of the brain is 60,000 times more powerful than the left side of the brain. It's not that men are left brain and women are right brain. Men tend to be very dominant in one or the other. Why? Again, there's medical evidence that supports this. So they're one or the other. And in the second trimester in the womb if they're a boy, there's a chemical that's released, check it out, scientific fact, there's a chemical that's released that severs boys, babies in the womb, brain right from the left, so they either tend to be really, really right side or really, really left side. Remember my mom, she passed away a few years ago, and when we were growing up, she said, she heard about a study of some, university and government where they researched $6 million or something to research between men and women, boys and girls, and they came back with boys are very different than girls. And my mom just laughed, and she said, I could have told them that without the 6 million. Women, on the other hand, they're different. Women tend to use both sides of the brain, which can be, good or bad, just like how men think can be good or bad. So they're not or, they're and. Now, again, these are tendencies. So don't get all, politically correct or anything like that. It's like, it's just, hey, they're different. Hello, they're different. So when we look at this, just turn this on the side and then plug this into the 4 personalities. So the analytic and driver tend to be more linear, left side of the brain. Expressive, amiable tend to be more right side of the brain. Men, and there's women. Now, and there's again, there's something in the brain that, separates it. So it seems that roughly 75% of men will be analytic or driver personality types or frequencies, and it seems that roughly 75% of women will be amiable or expressive personality types or frequencies. So a lot of things that, all these groups don't like about, hey, this stereotyping men or stereotyping women. Well, you're actually not stereotyping men or women. Technically, you're actually stereotyping personalities. Well, it's how people think. And so, anyways, there's a whole bunch of stuff. This is why Life Masteries and their mobile app, life-gps.org, so life-gps.org is like crazy. And they're working on raising over $100 million to take this all around the world to the 7.4 billion people. And it will help clients, employees, contractors, vendors, referral partners, donors, volunteers, family, friends, associations, any group of people, all kinds of cool stuff. So when we look at this and we look at, mental disorders, challenges that people have, pain, whatever, the analytic tends to be focused, their challenge, their weakness is despair. The drivers tends to be anger. The expressive tends to be foolishness. And the amiable tends to be fear. Isn't this stuff cool? This is quantum thinking. This connects everything together. If you went through the other lessons, you're like, oh my gracious, this is amazing. So, with the analytic, often their disorders are pride, disassociation, major depression, bipolar. The driver is defiant, poor conduct, disruption, sexual disorders, oppositional, physical abuse. Expressive is narcissism, ADD, ADHD, addictions, explosive drama, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive. The amiable, panic attacks, passive aggressive, stress, post-traumatic, anxiety, social phobias. What if, think, again, quantum, what if a mobile app, what if you and I could be a part of something that would not help people? There's a lot of money in help. Medication, counseling for years and years, decades and decades, forever. But what if you and I could be part of something that would heal people, not help them? How cool would that be? That is what we're talking about in building quantum systems. It connects all that we've been talking about, all that we've gone through, and being able to do it. And so, that's an awakening, that's ownership, that's work, that's care, that's building quantum systems. So again, connect with your art mentor and what you've learned, actions you will take, and what you need to learn next. But the deep learning comes from your 2 art buddies. So it's when you go through the course, you get assigned an art mentor. You think you're going to learn a lot from them, but actually, just like with our kids, I learned a lot from my mom and dad, but I learned more from my 7 kids. Now I've got 3 sons-in-law, daughter-in-law, 5 grandkids, another one on the way. It's whoa, that's really cool. And if you want to turn learning into earning, which is next lesson, right? Go to this ahead of time. You got to get involved in community. All right, So we're going to go ahead and take a short short media break, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. Here we go.